We want these rights, and 7 billion people stand up to assert their right, miracles can happen.
Just like Martin Luther King, he said, our scientific power has outrun our spiritual power. We have guided missiles and misguided men. What do you think about Obama? He came to power with a great rhetorics, and I was like, at the beginning, I understood it right away because he said, yes, we can. He didn't say, yes, we will. And the promises he made, he promised to end the Patriot Act. He just expanded it. He made it worse. He can just take anyone out of his home and put him in jail forever under the law of terrorism, you know? And he also promised to not let anyone from the lobbyists come into his campaign. The first day he hired William Raytheon, the weapon industry guy. So he's not the one we saw in 2007. And how do you have any faith in him? Do you see him as a guy under pressure? Will he eventually break free from the chains, or is he just another Bush with a new mask?
I think that he's not another Bush with a new mask, but I don't think he's who we hoped he was. He is beginning to withdraw troops from Afghanistan, and yet he goes into Libya. And yet he goes into Libya not as George Bush would have gone into Libya, much more a part of a community, but then he doesn't get the Congress's approval. He very openly said, and we've seen this clip many times from his campaign, if unions are ever threatened, I will put on a good pair of shoes and I will be on the streets with you marching. Really? Where are you? Because we've been marching our butts off and we haven't seen you at all. Now, our Democrats, when they got back, when they said, how do you feel about the president hasn't even said anything, were very gracious to say, you know, he's got Libya on his mind, and in the United States, this is a state problem, so we're dealing with it, and, you know, we're trying to be sovereign. But my personal feeling in the past month after the revolution is, I think he's a mask of another, of the same ilk. I think there's money behind him. I think he's part of a, he doesn't really have our best interests as far as our rights and the rights of the earth. I don't really think that's his main agenda. I think it's to, as you said, you know, we just expanded the Homeland Security bill. No, you can't do that and not be promoting fascism. Now, and one of the reasons why I know is because my senator, my former senator, Russ Feingold, there is a man who stands up to say no. You know when a politician stands up and says, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to work towards this. And then everything they do is aligned with that. So while I appreciate Obama's calm demeanor and his intelligence and that he's doing things a little differently, I'm frankly, I'm disappointed.
Do you think the Libya assault is just a diversion from what's going on in Wisconsin to fill up the news headlines with foreign problems instead of local problems?
You know, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Gaddafi is working with us. I don't buy this. Ever since finding out that we actually trained Osama bin Laden, believe that was a shock when we all were. It was not secret information, but we just didn't know until 9/11 when we started to do this investigation, and I started to go, wait a minute, we trained him. How could this be? I don't know anymore. I don't believe anymore that someone like Gaddafi would necessarily not be working to create this. I mean, he's just crazy enough for this big world theater, you know? Let's have a little distraction from what's going on in the U.S. Plus, excuse me, we've been hearing over and over and over, we're so broke, we're so broke, we're so broke. Where are we getting this money? Is Gaddafi helping to pay for it? Because I heard he's got enough money to feed the entire Arab nation for 4 years. So, I don't trust any of it. And yeah, I do think it's a big, big distraction.
Obama senior advisor Zbrinski, he was the one who actually armed Osama bin Laden back in the 70s. So you have these advisors standing behind each and every president for the last 50 years. And we always think that, oh, after 4 years, some new guy comes with new clean hands and we get to elect our guys and this is freedom. But it's not, because they're all being controlled behind the scenes by the same ones. The Rockefellers and the JP Morgans and the big corporations are behind each and every president. So it's just the same as the condemnation of Libya or Mubarak. They say that, oh, he's been in power for 40 years. It's true. One face has been, but it's just the same in America because they just put on a new face.
Well, and it's really worse because we come out like we're, you know, land of the free, home of the brave. We're this great superpower, and you know, which is worse, that and then having all of this, you know, subterfuge going on, or a Mubarak who just says, hey, I'm the dictator, I'm in charge. And I think really, I was thinking back to how did the United States get this way? And I found this video that was made by the military in 1947 after World War II. And it was a little depiction of how fascism came about and how to stop fascism. And it was a scene of a little small town, and there's a guy in the square talking, you know, like on his soapbox, and he's preaching hate. And there's a kind of a white guy sitting there listening and considering, and up comes this old man from Hungary who has just come to the United States, the new free. And I imagine they picked Hungary because Budapest was one of the worst, bloodiest battles of World War II. But the little Hungarian guy explains to the white man how Hitler did it. He separated out all the people, first the Jews, and then you see, you know, all the people, townspeople stepping back from the Jew, and then from the, you know, the gypsy, and from the, he segregated all those. So this video, I'm watching it and I'm weeping thinking, this is the United States that I was born from. My father went to war, he wasn't fighting for a corporation. He was fighting to free, he was in Burma actually, to free the world of this fascism. And when the war was over and everyone came home, the veterans were honored. And from that time, out of that time period, came this global realization, the realization on the part of the U.S. that we can go take over foreign countries and get cheap labor and pretty much, you know, use all the resources. So in the 50s, Vietnam became the target. And we didn't go into Vietnam to free them from communism. We went into Vietnam for economic reasons. And so I think from this whole 50s and the 60s has come this system that war has become the biggest corporation of all, and every single president and every single politician has to go into the system that has that. So good people, good politicians go in and are overwhelmed by the system. How do we dismantle that system? How do we uncover that system?
Stop paying tax, because 51% of your tax money is actually going to the weapons industry and the wars.
Yep. So there's taxes.
Collective civil disobedience is the way.
And I think that's probably why they build all those concentration camps, those FEMA camps. So when we stop paying our taxes, well, I guess they wouldn't even need that, would they? come and take us away. But I've thought about that too. About it's really a financial. All of our taxes are funding. This is our money, and we don't get to say where it goes anymore. I've heard so many of the right wing say, well, I don't want my taxes funding National Public Radio. You know, the kind of left, still truly journalistic, you know, as if I get to see my tax. I don't want my taxes funding weapons going to Egypt. Do I get a choice? I don't think so. So there's, that's probably the massive civil disobedience that we'd have to have.
You're going back to Wisconsin soon?
Yes.
What are your plans when you're arriving?
I am going to head right back to the Capitol, and I'm going to see what's going on. We have a big election. The day before I come home, there's a big Supreme Court election that will shift everything when we get our candidate in. It's going to be the start of, and then the recalls will be in full swing. So I'm going to get to the Capitol and see where I can be of help. I'll have my sign out there every day and just making my presence known and seeing how I can help and keeping to educate. And you know, this has really brought a division. People who are not political are, you know, why suddenly you're so political. And I've had to say, yeah, it's my duty as a citizen of the United States and of Wisconsin. This is what I am charged with doing. My Constitution says if my government's being taken over, then it's my duty to stand up and do something about it. So that's what I plan to do. And hopefully they'll let me back in the country. Put me on that no-fly list and I'll be running around Canada till I can sneak in. So. But thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and I hope that everybody
I'd like to thank you too.
Starts really disseminating this information, and find me on Facebook, Barbara With, befriend me, I'll be there, until they shut it down, I suppose. So.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your ideas and your visions and giving hope to us in Norway that a change will come in the United States that is going to spread through the world.
That's my hope.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you.